Hello, dreamers. I'm your host, Marco of Dreaming in Fashion. Welcome back to another episode of this podcast where we discuss all things fashion. Please be sure to hit the thumbs up button, share, and leave a comment. Let's start the show. All right. So first, I want to talk about how old. I don't know how old you guys are, but I don't want to put my age out there. But let's do it. Who all remember Bill Nye, the Science Guy? I know you remember watching that show when you were younger. If you're an 80s baby, maybe even a 90s baby, you may remember watching that show. I remember watching that show, and I loved Bill Nye, the Science Guy. So apparently, Bill Nye struts down the New York Fashion Week runway. So Bill Nye walked the runway at the 9th annual Blue Jacket Runway Show. The show, organized by Zero Cancer, but it will raise to awareness and funds to assist the Prostate Cancer Foundation in finding a cure for the disease. You guys should have saw Bill. Bill was up there doing his thing. He was strutting. He had those shorts on. He was doing his poses. Baby. I can't help but to laugh because Bill was up there doing his thing. And I was like, okay, get it, Bill. Don't hurt nobody. Now, he also was the top search model on Google for New York Fashion Week in 2025. How iconic is that? Bill Nye takes over the New York runway and shuts it down and becomes the top search model on Google. That is iconic. I just wanted to bring that. I thought that was iconic. I wanted to even start with that this week because when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute. I had already did like my research that I wanted to do for the topic. And then maybe like a day or two ago, I came across the Google search that said like, he was like the top model search. I was like, wait a minute, Bill Nye? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. But yes, shout out to Bill Nye for shutting down the New York Fashion Week runway and being the top search model on Google. So we're going to move on to my next topic. What do we call this couple who's, I guess, having problems right now? I don't know if it's allegedly they're having problems in the media. I'm not 100% sure. What is that couple called? Is it the Swifties or what? That's Taylor Swift's name. I don't know what you call them. But Travis Kelce's Super Bowl outfit. So we're going to discuss that. There's something about that outfit I just didn't too much care for. I'm just going to give you guys some information about it first, and we're going to go from there. His stylist was Danielle Salzito. He thanked the Amari team for making this look in less than 2 weeks straight off the Paris runway for the Super Bowl tunnel. Flown in from Milan within 2 days ago, direct to NOLA. Okay, that's pretty impressive. And he rocked a rust color Amari suit with wide leg trousers and a loose fitting jacket. It was accessorized with a pair of oversized sunglasses. He carried a black tote, a pair of black and white loafers completed with his pregame outfit. And then one of the commentators poked at him and they made a fun of him. They said, Travis, look, when he entered the building, basically it was calling him like Saturday Night Fever, John Travolta. That's basically what it was giving, if you ask me. He was going to say, Boogie Night, dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that's what it was giving to me. I didn't care for it. That's just my opinion. If you like the 70s look, we've done that time. I don't know why we want to rewind with fashion. I don't understand it. I never understood it. Why we want to rewind with fashion that we've already done. Can we spring forward to the future? I've been waiting for so long. But Travis Kelce with his Super Bowl outfit, I want to hear what you guys thought about that because I didn't care for it. The color was awful. It was like a rust color. It was like a burnt orange, rusty type of color. The loafers were, Okay, could the real Travis Kelce please stand up? Because I feel like ever since he got with Taylor, he's a completely different person. I know you're supposed to always evolve, change your image and different things like that, but I'm not feeling it. You guys let me know if you felt the Super Bowl look, what you thought about it. I didn't care for it. All right. So my next topic that I'm going to talk about, I'm really excited about this, you guys, because I know many of you have been waiting. I've been waiting. We've all been waiting for a long time for this. So it's official. The Devil Wears Prada 2 officially is in the work in Disney Studios. Are we excited, guys? I know I am. I'm so excited for this because I remember being in fashion school and watching The Devil Wears Prada. A lot of times that was my movie just to get through the semester and dealing with the professors and the instructors being like, witches. That's the word I want to say. They just kind of kept me, that movie kind of like kept me grounded. I always thought about Andy and her struggle while she was doing what she was doing with Miranda. And for me, I love that movie. I can't wait till part 2 comes out. But we're going to let me stop talking right now and just give you guys the details. Seems like today I'm like really giving my commentary before the topics. That's a little backwards for me, but we're just going to go with it. So 2 is in development with filming scheduled to begin in February of 2025, which is this month now. The sequel is to be expected and to be released in late 2026. So the plot. Here's the plot. The sequel will follow Presley as she navigates her career in the face of declining magazine publishing. She will also face off against Blunt's character, who is now a high-powered executive. Ooh, that's going to be interesting. Blunt's, is that Emily? Emily. Oh, I think that's who that is. I think that's Emily. So the cast of the movie will be, of course, the iconic Meryl Streep. She's expected to reprise her role as Miranda Priestley. Of course, we knew that. Emily, there she is. Emily Blunt is expected to reprise her role as Andy Sachs. And who else? Here we go. Stanley Tucci is also in talks to reprise his role as well. So that's going to be very interesting to see that they're coming back with that. The production, David Frankel, who directed the original film, will return to direct the sequel. Alan Brosh McKenna, who wrote the original screenplay, will also write the sequel. Filming is scheduled to take place in New York City, Paris, and London. So I know you guys are excited like I am. When I saw this headline the other day on Instagram, I was like, wait, it's coming back. I've been waiting. So I'm really excited. I'm really, really excited for the movie to come back. I've been waiting for years. It's been a long time. I love The Devil Wears Prada. I just recently watched that when I was out of town, maybe 3-4 months ago. It came on TV. It came on late night, and I was like, oh my God, I got to get up to work at like 6 o'clock. Well, I had to be up for work at like 6 o'clock in the morning, but the movie came on at like 11. I was like, I have to stay up and watch the full movie. So I stayed up and I watched the full movie and got my life all over again. I could never get enough of The Devil Wears Prada, and I can't wait to part 2. So, I want you guys to drop down. Someone told me about another movie that was out where I think the girl Emma, what's the one name? The girl with the red hair? Is her name the one? She was Emily. So she was in the show, something about somewhere in Paris or something like that. I guess it was a show someone was telling me about, and they told me that I need to watch it. If you know the name of that show, drop down in the comments and tell me about that show. They said that it's like a good show that had like some really good fashion on it, and it was either filmed in Paris or London. So if you know the name of that show, drop down in the comments. Maybe I'll give it a watch, and maybe I can do a review on that and see what it's giving. I would like to do that because I love a good movie, especially if it's like a fashion movie, if they got good fashion. So, keeping into the theme of The Devil Wears Prada 2, we're going to just move right along to one of our favorite people that, we all love to talk about. Anna Wintour said that people are afraid of fashion. You guys, I've had mixed reviews about Anna. Sometimes I'm like, I like her, then sometimes I dislike her. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm just going to keep it real. I think this is one of those things where, okay, I like this. This is something that I can agree with. And I like that she said it. So in 2009, The Vogue September issue, she said that people may be afraid of fashion because it makes them feel insecure. Wintour said, I think what I often see is that people are frightened of fashion, and that's because it scares them or it makes them feel insecure. They put it down. She also said that people who make demeaning comments about fashion may feel excluded or not a part of the cool group. That's interesting. To all of my, people who are eclectic, who are different, who dress weird, out there, or whatever the case may be, I want to know what you think about that, because I like to think that sometimes I'm one of those people that dresses weird. Nobody understands. You get a lot of crazy looks. Everybody's just looking like, what is he wearing? Why would he wear this with that? She said something in an interview I posted on my Instagram. If you're not following me on like the story, that was like some days ago. She said something about all these people come in to interview at the magazine for Vogue, and they all go out the day before and buy clothes and thinking like, hey, this is what I want to wear to the interview. She said she would like to see clothes that give them personality. See, it pays to be your own unique self and to be distinctive and stand out amongst the crowd. So keep calling it weird. I think that people who all dress alike, they all look alike in the room, you can point them out in a crowd full of people and you be like, okay, y'all all look alike. I think that's weird. I want to stand out in the crowd where everybody be looking like, whoa, who is that? And what is he wearing? Yes, that's what I want. Yes, absolutely. So we're going to move on to my next topic, and you guys, this is probably one of my favorite topics to talk about, and one of my favorite people to talk about. We're going to talk about Mr. Tim Gunn. So Tim Gunn's opened up about returning back to Project Runway. So we all watch Project Runway. Well, I watch Project Runway. I'm not going to speak for all of you guys, but I'm hoping that most of my followers are people that watched the show from back in the day when it first started, when Tim and Heidi was on there. Yes, love that show. It was legendary. I remember being in, I guess I'm always telling you guys stories about me being in fashion school, and I was always trying to keep myself in a fashion headspace when I'm sewing, when I'm creating projects and doing all of that. So Project Runway was another one of those shows that I watched just to keep myself in a creative, fashionable headspace, just to keep myself motivated, keep the positive and creative and juices flowing. Now, I didn't like that it was a competition. That's the part of fashion that I don't like. I know we all know that fashion is competitive, cutthroat, or however you want to call it, competitive, cutthroat. Everybody says it. It's just one of those industry. That's what it is. I never cared for that because I feel like there's room for everybody to be, I think that there's room for everybody to have their own space to settle into. You're going to have your people that like what you do, and I'm going to have my people that like what I do, and Susan, Keisha, Jacob, whoever is going to have the people that like what they do. Okay. And just what it is. This is how this is. Nobody's going to have everybody's praises to like what they like. You can always have someone that's like, I don't like that. So it is what it is. But I just want to go ahead and expound on what this article or these things I came across with Tim. I thought was very, very interesting. So Tim Gunn's opened up about returning to Project Runway. So Tim Gunn, who long served as a mentor of the show's contestants, revealed that he wasn't invited to return to the host Heidi Klum in Runway's new iteration. In Project Runway's new iteration, an interview with the people. So he did not return back to Project Runway for the Freedom of the Revival because he wasn't asked to be a part of the show. Gunn said he felt devastated and humiliated by the decision. Gunn said that Klum texted him about the possibility of returning for the reboot. He said that he would be happy to do so. However, he later learned that the executive producers did not want him on the show. Gunn said he came to terms with the decision by thinking about how lucky he was to have had his experiences on the show over the previous 20 years. He also said that he stopped feeling sorry for himself and thought it would be throwing hubris in the face of an angry God to mourn not being on the show. So good for him. I guess good for him. Good for him being the bigger person and being like, hey, I did my time. I was on there 20 years. I bowed gracefully. I'll let the young bucks come in, give their commentary, and do what they do. Wasn't Christian Siriano the person that walked around to the designers at one point? I think that may have been like the last time that I watched that show. Now, don't get me wrong. I still love Project Runway, and I still would watch it to this day. I just haven't watched it. But, you know, it's kind of sad that Tim may not be on there because we loved him. He was so distinguished and he was always so like poised and well put together. And he was, I don't know, he was just always so professional and gave them, you know, good advice. Not to say that any of the other people that spent on there didn't give them good advice, but, you know, Tim was just the iconic person that was on there and always gave good advice. So it's good to see that he was a bigger person in that situation. And I would like to hear you guys' comments about that and tell me what you think about it. Do you think Tim should be back a part of the cast, or do you think he shouldn't be back a part of the cast? So drop down in the comments and let me know what you think about that. So we're going to move on to my next topic here. So the next topic is going to be ASAP Bari. I don't know about you guys. I've never heard about ASAP Bari. ASAP Bari. Again, I don't know about you guys. I've never heard of ASAP Bari. This is my first time ever hearing about ASAP Bari, but we're going to talk about it. But he has some interesting things to say, and I thought it was pretty cool. So he said streetwear is for the kids in the streets. This is what he said, ASAP Bari. He said streetwear is for the kids that's in the streets. You understand? The reason they call it streetwear is because the kids in the street made the brands popping by wearing it in the streets. For Louis Vuitton to pick Virgil, a streetwear designer, mixing into luxury streetwear designer, it was just automatically. We're not making no money off this bougie-ish. We need the hood. We need what the kids are wearing in the streets. And Virgil knew what the kids were wearing in the streets. And it starts with the streets, musically wise, fashion wise, all around. And if it's not coming from the streets, it's not cool. And ninjas is not going to want to wear it, and they don't want it. So again, I always like to reference my experience in fashion school when I talk about some of my topics, because I learned a lot in fashion school. And one of the things, I had this class, I can't remember what the class was, but I had this one class, and one of the projects that I had to do was go into a setting where I could people watch, right? A lot of times I would go to the mall and I would just people watch and write down trends. Oh, I think it may have been trend forecasting or something like that. I think that's what it was called. I think it was called trend forecasting. I think that was the name of the class. And I would go into the mall, or I would go into a setting where I know people would be dressed up, or everyday people or whatever. At this time, this is in Orlando, Florida. And if you know the Florida Mall, that's what it was. That's where it was. If you know about the Florida Mall, you know what it's giving, right? I could have went to Millennium Mall at the time, but I didn't go to Millennium. I wanted to go more to Florida Mall. And if you live in Orlando, you know there's a difference between the Florida Mall and the Millennium Mall. So I'll just give a brief breakdown of the two malls. Millennium Mall is where the bougie people go to, where they have all of your Fendi, Gucci, Prada, and all that, right? Yeah, right. And Florida Mall is where you have more of your better brands, you know, just your regular everyday stores, your everyday people that could afford and different things like that. So, that project, I had to watch people, and it's called people. It was a people watching project, and you basically watch people. You write down the trends, you write down what they were wearing, you write down where they look like they were going. It's kind of like you try to figure out in your head where they're going, what's their story, and different things like that. And it was just people watching, and you're just observing, and you're finding the trends. So I think, you know, he was right, because when I was doing that project, you notice that a lot of the younger crowd of people, or the younger generation, had the coolest fashion, and they still do. So if you would like to know where fashion is headed today, always look at the younger generations, because the younger generations of kids kind of set the tone. Now, it's kind of weird to me, maybe weird to some of my 80s and 90s babies. Well, I don't know about my 90s baby, but maybe my 80s babies. All the stuff that the kids are wearing now is the stuff we wore as teenagers. And I think that it's kind of like a Twilight Zone almost effect or something like that. It's like, hey, I wore wide pants and overalls and all of the crop top shirts and different things like that back in the 90s. And here we are, they're resurfacing. I think we're up to the 2000s now with all the trends. I think that's where we're at right now. I think we're in the early 2000s. I may be wrong. Drop down in the comments to correct me. But again, if you want to know the trends, look at what the younger people are wearing, because a lot of times they set the tone for it. So ASAP was right, and he was absolutely right with what he said. You know, the kids set the tone for fashion. I think the younger crowd or the younger generation, I absolutely do think that. That's what always been my belief and just my observation. So I want to know your thoughts on that. Drop in the comments and who you think set this trend. It used to be celebrities and different things like that, but now I think that these younger people, you know, they're in a whole lane of their own, and they're just doing their thing. And hey, I ain't mad at it. Do your thing. So speaking of trends and setting trends and different things like that, so I guess we got like a couple of months left. We're in February, maybe 3 months. I think I'm right. And you know, one of the biggest fashion events of the year is going to happen in New York, and I think that we're all excited for the Met Gala. So the Met Gala officially announced its 2025 theme, and the theme is going to be called Super Fine, Tailoring Black Style. Now, we're all excited for that. I know I am, right? So let's see here. Super Fine. So basically what it is, says tailoring black style explores the importance of satirical style to the formation of black identities. So some of the people that's going to be in attendance going to be Coleman Domingo, Lewis Hamilton, ASAP Rocky. Shout out to ASAP Rocky for beating that case. Pharrell Williams, Anna Wintour. There we go again. Will co-chair the Met Gala on May 5th, 2025. LeBron James will serve as a LeBron James. So LeBron James will serve as the honorary chair. So LeBron James is going to be there. So let's see how that goes. The gala dress code is tailored for you. A nod to the exhibitionist focus on suiting and menswear. Also, it will be on view at the Met Fifth Avenue from May the 10th through October the 26th, 2025. And the exhibition and the benefits are made possible by Louis Vuitton. The major funding is provided by Instagram, the Hudson Lucas Family Foundation, Africa Fashion International, founded by Dr. Precious Malohi Matsepi, and the Perry Foundation. Guys, excuse me for some of these names. I can't pronounce them. If I butcher them, if you know them, I apologize in advance. And if you're one of those people that listen to this podcast, I apologize in advance. If I ever meet you in person, you can tell me how to pronounce your name, then I would do it with pleasure. I have no problem with that. Additional support will be provided by Condé Nast. We all know who Condé Nast is. So Usher commented that he's honored to be a part of such a long-standing tradition with the Met. The theme this year is not only timely, but also speaks to our rich culture that should always be widely celebrated. So some more details I found about Superfine. I'm going to talk about that here. So just a basic definition of it again here is tailoring black style. So presents a cultural and historic examination of black style from the 18th century to the present through the exploration of the concept of dandyism. Let's talk about that word for a second. I never knew what dandyism was. So I did a little digging and I was like, what is dandyism? So if I see something I don't know, a lot of times I go to Google, beep, 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 beep. Okay, what is dandyism? And I Googled and I was like, I never heard of this style before. And when I looked at the style, I was like, wait, I do know what this style is. I've seen it several. You guys are going to know what it is too. If you don't, but I'm going to describe it for you. Janelle Monáe, when she first came out, Outkast, Jadena, even Uncle Leon Talley, when he was younger. Maybe so. Basically, it was an older generation of style. So I'm just going to go back to the definition here. To bring this rich subject to life, various artists have contributed to the exhibition through concepts that amplify topics explored in curation. In her first ever exhibition, design artist Tawasi Dyson uses her signature hypershapes to create series of standalone monumental sculptures and architectural zones designed to hold questions around Black life, related to reflection, theatrical scale, liberation, flight, and transcendence, and amplify moments of tension between motion, scale, and display in visitors' experiences. It says the two bespoke mannequin heads on display are by artist Tanda Francis and emulate bronze monuments. One of the works features numerous silhouetted profiles meant to represent a plurality of individuals and community, as well as a visualization of the unseen emerging from the central point. Is the face inspired by Andre Gennard Messois of the Congo and the imaginative revolutionary who is considered the first sapeur in that vibrant community that arose in the 1920s. So I'm hearing here, there seems like a lot of African fashion and cultural things. I'm really curious to see how that turns out because, again, we've seen that style for a long time and we've never had a name for. Well, I didn't have a name for it. Maybe you guys did. I never knew what dandyism is, but now I do know. So basically, Francis created this portrait within the theme of protective styles as a tribute to unifying experiences, function, style, culture within the African diaspora. Artist and special consultant Ike Oud lends his unique expertise and experience as a dandy to curate the section of the exposition that explores his own work and highlights Julius Sobeys, whose style and behavior challenged societal norms in the 18th century London. Artist Tyler Mitchell's images for the exhibition catalogs includes selection of dynamic object photography and as well as a photo essay that portrays the camaraderie among the well-styled Black men across generations. The catalog also includes more than 30 essays by various thought leaders, artists, and other distinguished voices. So I'm excited to see who all is going to show up and what people are going to wear in regards to dandyism. I don't know why this is going to be like it's going to give me that whole, I don't know, it's going to give me like the early, maybe 2000 style, because that's when I saw a lot of that style. And that's when I was, introduced to Janelle Monáe. It's going to give me that vibe of Atlanta in the early 2000. And maybe it's going to be like this whole Idlewild. I don't know if you guys ever saw that show or like Idlewild. This is going to be a little, I think, like, remember in The Color Purple when they were in the juke joint and how those guys was dressed and they was in their suits and their ties and different things like that. When I Googled the style, that's kind of what it gave me, but like a preppy kind of classical look. I don't know what I called it back in the day, but I just remembered a lot of guys and people in Atlanta wore that style back in the early 2000s. So it's going to be interesting to see what celebrities and celebrities from different cultures come out and wear. That's going to be very interesting. And I wonder, I know the icon or the actual Met Gala queen, Rihanna's going to show up, and I know ASAP, he fits right into the actual look of dandyism. I think it's going to be great. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. So you guys, let's look out for the Met Gala. Who's all excited? I hope I get a chance to go and see it. It's going to be on display for a long little time there. So I would love to go to New York and see that in person. That'll be amazing. But you guys, that concludes my show for today. So remember to make sure you follow me on all social media platforms. You can find my episodes on Instagram, Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Podcasts, and YouTube. Also, to help support the show, make sure you sign up on Patreon. Always, until next time, guys, keep dreaming.